Hello and welcome to Cardboard Companions. I'm your co-host Cameron. And it's my lovely
You're
co-host
not a
Dan.
co-host.
Am I the host or am I the co-host? Are
You're
we
the
both?
host.
I'm the host.
Are we both
I thought
co-hosts?
that's how that worked.
You're Cameron.
I'm Cameron, and this is my co-host or
I'm
host,
Danny.
Danny.
We're both hosts.
We're both the
We are
hosts.
the co-hosts.
Man, that should be the name of the podcast. The co-hosts.
The co-hosts?
That is,
Shoot.
okay. Well, now we're changing everything.
Guys, we have to scrap it.
Guy, singular person who's listening to us.
Single person. Me. We have to scrap this.
Yeah, you have all the power in this dynamic. Okay. We are starting a Magic the Gathering podcast focusing on Commander at what levels that we generally do Commander at, which is probably around 2 to 4 generally.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about the brackets because they just redefined everything.
Yep.
So I wanted to start off with a quote that Gavin Verhey talked about, which is the fact that the brackets did not have intent in the bracket systems before. They were mostly focused on the actual data points that the brackets had, such as like bracket 3 had 3 game changers. Bracket 4 had unlimited or no mass land destruction across those. And they are trying to include the intent of the deck more in the bracket system, which is really what this is describing.
Yeah.
And the first thing we want to talk about is the tutor restriction.
Yeah. That's a pretty big one. So they said in the article, if you want to play tons of inefficient tutors, it may not make for the most replayable deck, but they don't need a safeguard for that.
Yeah.
If you want your deck to do the same thing every time, that's kind of your choice. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't necessarily make your deck better or worse. And it was also a bit confusing as to what exactly counted as a tutor. They gave the example of Expedition Map. Mm-hmm. That's finding you a land from your deck. Certainly some people would count that as a tutor. Some people might not. They want their tutors to be a little bit more broad, like Demonic Tutor grabbing anything, or like an Enlightened Tutor grabbing any artifact or enchantment. And so they don't think that inefficient tutors are really a problem. They're not game altering. The ones that are game altering are already game changers anyway. So a lot of people felt like this choice was redundant. And so they just ultimately decided to get rid of that kind of confusing wording.
Yeah, when you're making the best tutors in the game changers, and then you're like, okay, also every other tutor in the entire game is also a no-go, they're doing the same job, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm definitely happy keeping my planar portal when I'm paying 12 mana to try to tutor something into my hand. I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
So they're removing tutor restrictions from all brackets. Previously, it was only like they said few tutors in 3, and then at 4 they were like go wild, go crazy. No one cares. And so we're gonna start at the very bottom with bracket 1, the exhibition decks. These decks prioritize a goal, theme, or idea over power. Rules around the card legality and viable commanders have flexibility depending on the pod. This is your rule 0 conversation. This is you going, hey, I'm playing a silver bordered card, or hey, I'm playing not a legendary creature as my commander. Mm-hmm. And generally, if you're playing in bracket 1, people should be a little more lenient towards that. Win conditions are highly thematic or substandard, like, attacking your opponents, very substandard. And then gameplay is an opportunity to show off your creation. And they say to expect around 10 to 9 turns of gameplay before you're winning or losing. And so there's a couple issues that we have with this. Mostly they say as well that game changers in here can be thematic, right? So they gave the example of Bolas's Citadel in a Bolas deck, right? Mm-hmm.
And then I don't have this deck physically, but I made a deck list that is all Lord of the Rings cards. Mm-hmm. And in there, I'm allowed to play the One Ring, obviously, but also Ancient Tomb was reprinted with a not Legends, Lord of the Rings skin over it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'm able to play those cards, and certainly that ups the power of that deck.
Yeah.
But it is 100% a theme deck. It's more so an art piece than it is playing to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the really interesting thing about the exhibition is because they're talking about intent, right? Like my intent with your Lord of the Rings deck is not to be a bracket 3 upgraded. I'm running these game changers because they're very powerful. It's intended to be, hey, look at all these cards that work well in the synergy package. But the difference between the Lord of the Rings deck that you have that's all about like the ring tempting you and you have Sauron and these powerful cards to back it up, and something that's just like, hey, I did everything where everybody's facing left, right? Like these are very
Yeah.
different ideas, but both are under the umbrella of exhibition,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not sure exactly. Exhibition just has so much variance within it, especially because they're saying that game changers can be thematic. Um, there's just a wide pool of what a theme is, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but we kind of feel like bracket one is almost an entirely separate thing
Yes.
than like the rest of the brackets. But we'll talk more about that probably closer to the end.
And so we're gonna move on to bracket
For
two.
now, yeah, for now we're going to go on to bracket two. So this is core. Previously, this was associated with precons. They're kind of getting rid of that wording, and so these are the main things that they're focusing on now. So its decks should be unoptimized, straightforward, and some of the cards are still trying to be creative or entertaining. Your win cons are incremental, very telegraphed, and disruptible. So it's not comboing out of your hand. It's very much so on board things that your opponents can see ahead of time. Gameplay is pretty low pressure. You're able to take back mistakes. You're mainly focused on having a good time with your friends. It is very proactive. It's considerate. You're trying to make sure that every deck is getting to show its thing. And they're saying to expect to do at least 9 turns before somebody wins. So on turn 9, somebody can win the game.
Yeah. Which seems pretty late to me. Like some of the precons are really fast.
Sure, but they also have gotten rid of that wording now.
No, but I'm just saying like I don't know, 8 turns is a lot of turns of Magic the Gathering to play for 4 players,
Sure.
right? And precons
Yeah,
aren't tied to
certainly.
core anymore. Absolutely.
Yeah, certainly the commander format has sped up over time. And so, as more and more powerful cards come out, that's going to make the floor higher. And so I think the Command Zone talked about how they measure how long their episodes of game nights and extra turns take. And they say that they've been getting faster on average. So that's just kind of a thing to expect. So maybe these numbers will change over time.
Yeah.
But I also kind of think that some people, an expectation of when the game should end is extremely helpful. I think overall, all of these
Yes,
things are
I agree.
helpful
I agree.
in a conversation.
Yeah.
But there are going to be some decks that are faster than others. Like if I'm playing an aggro deck, we were talking about this the other day. I have a Finn the Fangbearer deck, and that deck is able to knock out a single player, maybe even as early as turn 5, if I'm able to get like the right combination of cards. But this is an average,
Yeah.
And it says to expect to win or lose, which is where I have a little bit of confusion almost.
Especially with aggro, where like if you're gonna blitz
Yeah.
down one player, that player's lost well before you, the aggro player, have won.
Right.
You know.
So it's a little bit confusing. I think it's helpful overall. I think any communication tool is useful.
Yes,
At
and
the end of the day.
I will say overall, I'm very happy with
Yeah.
these in total becoming a little bit more well defined, as well as a little bit looser at the same time.
Yeah, we can give a critique, but overall, we think that these are
Yes.
very good changes.
Yes, I'm much happier with the bracket system after
For
this
sure.
this article has come out. And now we're going to go on to bracket 3 upgraded. This is, I think, where you and I mostly play at.
Yeah.
Decks to be powered up with strong synergy and high card quality that can effectively disrupt opponents. Game changers that are likely to be value engines and game-ending spells. Win conditions that can be deployed in one big turn from hand, usually because of steadily accrued resources, and gameplay to feature many proactive and reactive plays with 7 to more turns of gameplay. And this I don't think has really changed. They have a beautiful graphic. I'll put it up on the screen for our YouTube listeners, where it shows that the difference between core and upgraded is staples, right? Yeah. And so things like Esper Sentinel comes to mind, like very good card draw spells, Lorien Revealed, Game Changers, obviously.
You're not able to play pet cards as much once you get to bracket 3.
Yeah.
You're very much so like you're upgraded. You are not playing random stuff that's in the precon. Like they talk about how in precons they include cards they're meant to be cut.
Yeah.
You're kind of at the point where those are all gone. Every card in here is pretty good at this point.
Every single card is giving you advantage towards your game plane specifically.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's generally where I build towards. I want all my cards to do things.
It's pretty rare I play a card that isn't doing something with my deck. I don't just go, I'm playing a black deck, I'm going to play a rat colony because I love rat colony. I go, I'm going to play cards that are good with either what my commander's doing or what my overall deck theme is.
Yes. Okay. And then bracket 4.
Yeah, so bracket 4 is optimized. These are pretty much the end of the line, unless you're adhering to the metagame of CEDH. This is as high as you're going to get, throwing together a random deck without adhering to that metagame. So the decks here are lethal, consistent, fast. They're designed to take people down as quickly as possible. The game changers here are fast mana, snowballing resource engines, free disruption, and tutors. Your win conditions are extremely efficient, and they can even be instantaneous. Gameplay is explosive. It's powerful. You're featuring huge threats and efficient disruption. And you're expected to win the game as early as turn 5. One thing that I'm very interested in both the bracket 3 and bracket 4 nomenclature changes is that they are kind of describing what the game changers are in each of these brackets. I think that's very interesting.
Value engines and game-ending spells for 3, and then fast mana, snowballing resource engines, free disruption, and tutor. So yeah,
they're putting a very clear differentiation between what these brackets are doing, even within the game changers that both of these brackets share.
So you're running Force of Will in bracket 4, less so in bracket 3. And I think that does go along the lines of in bracket 3, you have up to 3 game changers as their guidelines is right now. And bracket 4 is unlimited. And so if you're running 3 game changers, you're probably not going to have one of them be dedicated to Force of Will. Versus if you have an unlimited amount, you're absolutely playing Force of Will, Fierce Guardianship, and all the other free disruption that you can.
Right. Yeah, because I have my my Orvar deck that's just playing every single free and efficient counterspell that I possibly can. It's the most powerful deck I own. It pretty easily is winning on turn 5, just by going infinite and preventing my opponents from really getting to do what they want to be doing. And that's totally fine in bracket 4. I no longer have to be as concerned with my opponents having fun. Or optimized level,
Yeah.
And so certainly I think in bracket 3 you may be playing things like the One Ring, but I'm also playing the One Ring in bracket 4 just because I have no reason not to. I have unlimited game changers now.
Now I'm going to talk about bracket 5 CEDH, which Dan and I have no experience with, really. So we're going to guess.
Yeah, we're just going to go over what the changes are really, and we don't really have anything to add.
Decks that are meticulously designed to battle the CEDH metagame with the ability to win quickly or generate overwhelming resources, often built off of existing CEDH knowledge, tools, and deck lists. Win conditions to be optimized for efficiency and consistency. Gameplay to be intricate and advanced, with razor-thin margins for error. Players prioritize victory over all else, and games could end on any turn. Great. For the people who play CEDH, I'm very happy.
I know one thing about CEDH. It's that I'm losing on turn 1, and I don't fully understand how.
Yes. And we've also changed some of the game changers.
Yeah, so they've kind of changed their thought process on what game changers should be to a certain extent.
Mhm.
So in the article, they say that game changers should be things that easily warp games. They should allow players to accrue a lot of resources or block other players from playing the game. Very efficient with little downsides, and commanders that are unfun and casual. So I think they've kind of realized that the command zone is a face-up space. I don't know if they realized it.
They finally
But
recognized.
the command zone is a face-up space. If I see my opponent pull out a Yuriko deck and I'm not interested in playing against that, I can say no then. I don't have to be in the middle of the game and be surprised
I
by
think
it,
it's also
as you are with a lot of other game
Yuriko
changers.
is a good example because there's a lot of people who are playing Yuriko ninjas, right?
Yeah.
And that is not nearly as scary as someone who's playing Yuriko with like a CEDH mindset, right?
Right.
And if you're playing with the CEDH mindset, you don't care if it's a game changer or not, right? And so
Right.
I think that this is like, hey, if you want to play these casually and you're not trying to win as hard as you can, there's no reason for these to be up there, right? Like, if you can play, I don't know if you can play a core Urza deck. You probably can. It's going to be harder, I think.
I don't know, like Urza swords.
Oh yes, I mean, and I guess absolutely. If you want to give like more of a theme to these kind of decks, they can be pulled down, and there's nothing that's saying that these cards are too strong. But something like they still have Grand Arbiter Augustine the Fourth and
Yes.
Braids up there, and like those are just unfun, even if they're face up in your command zone, no matter what bracket you're at. Like,
Right.
oh, all of my spells are going to cost one more. That's so fun for me in my bracket 2 core deck. So
Yeah.
they kept those as game changers.
Yeah, so the legends that they stated as being the strongest as commanders specifically, and so they've removed them from the game changers list. That is Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy. That is Urza, Lord High Artificer, Winota, Joiner of Forces, and Yuriko, the Tiger's Shadow. So those four they think are totally fine if you want to play them in the 99, but a deck that is focused around them, it's pretty clear what that deck's intent is. And like they said at the beginning of the article, this is focusing on intent. And so if I can clearly see what your intent is by looking in your command zone, then we don't fully need to have a conversation regarding our intent. Your intent is already face up on the board.
Yes. I will just cover briefly. So I already covered Braids and Grand Arbiter as the ones that are kept on the game changers. There's also
Tergrid is up there.
God of Fright is also still a game changer. So those are the 3 legendary creatures that you cannot play.
So if you're familiar with if you're familiar with the Game Changers list, you might remember that Jin Gataxias and Vorinclex are up there too. They were removed for being high mana cards, alongside Expropriate and Sway of the Stars.
Yeah, if you're paying 8 to 10 mana for these spells, you deserve to be.
Yeah, you deserve to get
be winning
what
the game.
you're playing for. Yeah.
if they say that even at bracket 2 you should expect 9 to more turns of gameplay, if I'm playing a Vorinclex and then attacking next turn and winning on via that, that's totally fine for core. Yeah,
like that's within the expectations of that bracket at that point.
Yes.
I don't think that people are playing. I don't think that people are playing Jin Gataxias in core anyway.
I don't think people are playing Jin Gataxias. I think you just ended the statement there. I don't know.
I played in one deck. I played in my Joda deck.
I've seen it be played in reanimation style decks, and I've seen it be played and like,
people are cheating it out. And at that point, then it is ending the game earlier. So then it's not a problem in the lower brackets.
But so would any other 12 mana card that you're casting for free, right? So
like, what's the difference between that and a Blight Seal Colossus? And then 2 more game changers that they removed are Deflecting Swat and Food Chain. So the thought process on those is Food Chain is already a combo card. It's not really a problem outside of being a combo card. And they already have the wording that your combos, if you're playing them, should be late game.
Yes.
In lower brackets. And so this isn't really a problem down there. Like if you're playing Prosh as your commander and you have Food Chain in the deck and you're trying to play with people who are playing at Bracket 2, go play somewhere else.
Yeah. Just like take a look at yourself in the mirror, realize that you're the problem, and then go play with your Bracket 3 or Bracket 4 folks, and then have a much better time.
Yeah, totally. Play whatever deck you want to play. That the point of this is to communicate so that everybody is getting to have fun and everybody is sitting down with a fair and reasonable expectation of what they're going to get to do and what their opponents are going to get to do.
Yep.
So the other one, Deflecting Swat, is way too specific. Like, I'm only ever playing that to redirect something that you are doing. Yeah. So it's only ever as strong as what my opponent is going to be playing against me.
And versus something like a Force of Will or Fierce Guardianship, it can't counter everything. It's very specific cards that it can have an impact on, right?
Yeah.
Though it does go crazy when someone casts an extra turn spell and you deflect.
It's certainly a very strong card, but it's only as strong as the thing that it's against. So it's totally fine in a Bracket 2.
When the best thing someone's doing is casting Murder in Bracket 2, Deflecting Swat loses a lot of value.
Yeah, it's totally fine there.
Okay. And then they did discuss some cards that they have kept on. So Consecrated Sphinx is expensive. But in the world, they said in the world between 6 and 7, it can really dominate a game if it's not removed within a turn cycle. You know, if it even goes back up to your upkeep, you're drawing 6 cards off of this.
Yeah.
And it really can't
nobody
take
doing
over
anything else.
Yes. They kept Coalition Victory, which I think is very fair because it's 8 mana. And
it just came off the ban list.
It just came off the ban list, as did Sway of the Stars.
But Sway of the Stars isn't instantly winning the game.
No, Sway of the Stars was definitely a relic of older times, for sure.
Sure.
Coalition Victory was also a relic of older times because it is 8 mana and 5 color. But if you do have your commander out, with this card, you just win the game.
Yeah, and that can be unfun.
That can be unfun. And if you are playing at 3 and 5 or 3 and 4, then it's less unfun. But in 4, it can win the game out.
I mean, at that point, I'm getting to play free counter spells, so you're not getting that off anyway.
Yeah. There's a lot more removal and aspects of interaction at the higher ones. And Panoptic Mirror, which, man, I'd love for them to take off the ban list. All I want to do is put an extra turn spell under this. But this is still on the ban list.
No, it's not on the ban list. Game Changer.
Oh, is it Game Changer? You're right, it's Game Changer.
You can play this in your Bracket 3 and Bracket 4 deck.
It was banned a while ago, wasn't it? And
this is another one that was just taken off the ban list.
Oh my goodness. Dan, I need to make
it. Are you gonna add Panoptic Mirror to Karn?
With what? Actually, I could do it. There, I do have an extra turn spell. I could.
Yeah, Rise the Eldrazi.
Yeah, Rise the Eldrazi.
That'd be very funny.
It would be very funny, and also bad.
Which is why it was totally fine to come off the ban list.
Yes.
But ultimately, I think they said that they wanted to leave it as a game changer for now because it just hasn't had enough time in the wild to see the kinds of things that it's capable of doing at this point.
Yes.
So they just want a little bit more information about it. And maybe over time, they'll see it's not as problematic as they're thinking. It's really only a problem whenever it is being comboed with extra turn spells. And at that point, same as Food Chain, it can come off of there and people can do goofy things with it in lower brackets and powerful things in higher brackets.
Yes, goofy things with Panoptic Mirror would be fun.
Yeah.
They were also
so that was everything that happened.
That was everything that happened
officially.
And then
at the end, they have some things that they are curious people's thoughts on, and so we would love to give our thoughts. Watsy, if you're listening, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Yeah. As people who've never played CEDH, we for sure know everything about this game, and you should take our opinions to heart.
The first is Rhystic Study. It's an iconic commander card.
They were talking about banning it
forever, and they were talking about banning it. And personally, I don't play this card. I own it. It became a game changer whenever the brackets came out. I didn't play it before. I haven't played it after. It's just a card that I don't want to have to keep track of for me, right?
Yeah, I play this in 2 decks. I play it in both Omnath and Orvar. Those are both Bracket 4s, so I think it's fine there.
But they say at CEDH it causes big issues, which I don't know anything about CDH.
Yeah, we're not
I'm
CDH
not a
players.
CDH player.
I don't know.
But personally, I think that Ristic Study is fine to be a game changer. And the CEDH players will be sad. I don't know. Are
Yeah,
CEDH
like
players even sad about this? Again, I know nothing about it.
I'm not a part of the CDH community.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, if I'm playing against this in a bracket 3 or bracket 4 deck, I am kind of at a table with the expectation to play against it.
Yeah.
It's my job to either remove it before it becomes a problem or efficiently play around it at those points. So I don't overall think it needs to be banned. Maybe it's a problem in CDH. Maybe it's a problem for certain play groups. But I personally have never really had any issues with it.
And the second is Thassa's Oracle.
Also CDH.
Also a CDH problem. But this one I have a much stronger opinion on.
I have a weaker opinion on this. I've literally never played with or against a Thassa's Oracle in my entire
life. I've seen Thassa's Oracle be played in games that I've in. And then usually it hasn't been a problem because there is some sort of removal. It is a fragile combo. So the combo that we're talking about is either Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pact, and then casting or having that cast on the stack while Thassa's Oracle is on the stack. So you exile your library, Thassa's Oracle resolves, and then you win the game.
Yeah.
And you need to be in at least Dimir, blue and black for that combo, and you need to have both cards in hand, which Dimir, notably, pretty good at tutoring.
Very good at playing tutors.
This is not really a bracket 3 or bracket below deck issue.
Yeah, this is exclusively a CEDH problem.
At least I have not seen. This is a
combo you're trying to get down on turn 1.
Yeah, or as soon as possible, right?
Yeah.
This is not a combo that I've seen. I've played Thassa's Oracle in decks that I'm trying to draw my way to the bottom of my library. I've done that before, but I've not played.
And I think that's a fine win con.
And I think that's a fine. And also, it's way later in the turn orders,
right?
Than like turn 3.
You're not drawing 99 cards before turn 5, and therefore you can play this in bracket 4, and it's totally fine.
My thought process on this is that there are many cards that do Thassa's Oracle-like things. There's Lab Maniac and the Jace that I can't remember the epithet of.
Wielder of Mysteries, I think it is.
That sounds great to me. It's the War Jace.
Yeah, the one with the static ability.
The one with the static ability. And I think that both of those cards are totally fine and not problems at all. But Thassa's Oracle is cheaper and is a trigger ability with an empty library, and you don't have to draw the card. You don't have to draw from an empty library.
You can have as many as like 2 cards in the deck, right? Because it cares about devotion.
It does care about devotion. Yes, this is true. Which I don't. Maybe that comes up. I haven't seen that come up. I've only seen it done with an actual empty library.
I don't know. I think that's an intelligent way of using the card, because I think people. I heard about this, that people are playing Miko Koro and like Gaia Reach Sanitarium to activate it in response to somebody having an empty library to make them draw and lose.
No, that's why I was saying it is fragile in the sense of, like, if someone counters your Thoracle or the Thoracle trigger, then you just lose, or if someone makes you draw a card in response, which is quite possible, because especially in the CEDH metagame,
where you're building around the metagame.
You're building around the metagame. People are playing this, and you know that. But I think personally, Thoracle should be banned. From what I understood, and I'm not a CEDH player, it's ubiquitous in the decks that are Dimir. And I think that is worthy of a ban if Flash was, whenever Flash was the thing.
Yeah. Like, I don't care about this card. I've never played with it. I've never played against it. If it's homogenizing a format, then yeah, sure, ban it. Like, it's not going to affect me either way.
Let's talk about hybrid before we talk about the brackets.
Sure.
They also discussed hybrids. Hybrid cards are made to be playable in either color. This is where you have, like, your Kitchen Finks, which is hybrid hybrid green and white color pips. And in normal Magic, you can either be in a mono white or a mono green deck and play it. However, in Commander as it currently exists, color identity states that you must be in a Selesnya deck for you to play Kitchen Finks.
Yeah, because the colored pip appears on the card anywhere.
Yes.
You have to be in both of those colors.
Yes. And personally, I think that they should absolutely allow hybrid to count as either or.
Yeah, like they've specifically talked about this, how these cards are designed to where they could exist in either monocolor. That is why it is able to exist as a hybrid card. Therefore, I don't think that a mono green deck getting access to Kitchen Finks is a problem because it already should have access to that kind of effect.
And I have a vested stock in this because in my Yorion deck, they've printed a white-green version of 2-mana 1/1 draw card and a blue-green hybrid version of a 1/1 that draws a card on ETB, but they do not have a white-blue version, and so I'm able to play neither of those other cards. When I would love to
you're
play
so desperate
both
for
of,
2-mana draws.
Man, all I want is 2-mana 1/1s that draw a card. That's all I want. That's all I want. They do talk about Deathrite Shaman would remain ineligible for a mono black deck because it has a green symbol in the text box.
Right.
So there are cards that are hybrid but do have other color identity restrictions within that. And those would be on a case-by-case basis not allowed.
Yeah.
They also discuss Beseech the Queen, which is a 2 mana cost, which is you can either pay 2 generic or a black for it. And they said that they would like it to be
×3.
that they would be able to have it in any deck. So you could be playing mono green and then have Beseech the Queen, which would be awesome. Oh my goodness.
Just pay 6 mana for a tutor.
Yes. I mean, like, and that's
It's
very
pretty
fair.
fun.
That's very fair. That's basically what it's a little bit more efficient than what colorless probably gets. Colorless would probably get 10 mana, Ring of 3 Wishes.
Know.
I love a good yeah, I would know. And so I think that hybrid personally should be either or. I think you should be able to put it in a mono deck of either of the colors.
Yeah. I don't think it's very confusing. Like you explain it to somebody once and they're like, okay, that makes sense.
It's almost like more confusing to enfranchised Magic players the way it currently is.
Yeah.
I think. If you're like, I'm playing a mono white deck, well, I can play my Kitchen Finks. I've literally seen that come up on LRR where somebody was like, why can't I put my Kitchen Finks in my mono white deck? I can pay it for mono white, you know?
Yeah, one thing that I think is kind of interesting, and then I'm going to segue into another idea. This will allow you to play Ululek, Fused Atrocity in colorless decks.
True.
Which I think is very funny. But continuing on that, I heard from a friend that he came across a player who played Ululek already in a colorless deck, not because he thought of the hybrid thing. He thought that's how Devoid worked. So Wizards maybe work on that too. I don't know. Yeah, color identity is a weird thing. I think it's overall necessary. I don't want people to be able to play any card in any deck. I do think it's a good thing.
Yes.
To give some sort of limitation in this timeless format.
No, and I think it's a good deck building restriction too.
For sure. But hybrid, let it happen.
Let it happen. Wizards, we're the only people that should have an opinion on this initiative.
And don't listen to anybody else. 2 for 2, 100% voted for. Make it happen.
And then Dan and I, after looking at all this, we wanted to talk about the brackets themselves. Because they discussed adding a bracket, and we were discussing removing a bracket almost. So they said they discussed the idea of placing a bracket in between 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 as they currently sit to add a little bit more granularity. Between these two, I think adding a bracket between 3 and 4 would be wise, and maybe bumping 3 down a little bit in terms of power or in terms of like how they're thinking about it. Yes.
Right now, it's like, here are your limitations. Here are you get to have a little bit of fun, and then go wild, do anything you want. Because it's like, okay, that's a huge step.
Bracket 2 is like, hey, no game changers. Bracket 3 is like, you're up to 3, and bracket 4 is you can have any. And that's so really it's either you're in bracket 2 and those cards are banned, you're in bracket 3 and you have decisions, or you have bracket 4 and it's unrestricted again.
Right.
And I think that there should be something in between 3 and 4 where you have two things that you can like have decision making on. And then I also think,
Yeah. Let me.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh, Wizards of the Coast. Listen to me. I'm gonna sound like a crazy person. Um, Take bracket 1 and bracket 5 out. Now let me explain. Right now, I genuinely think we are essentially in a 3 bracket system, and it's it's 5 brackets and a trench coat. Because bracket 1 is all about theme, whereas the brackets, a power system 1 through 5, it's kind of 2 different things, right? If I go into my closet and I put together a commander deck from random cards that I own, that is a bracket 2. Because it's not building around a theme. Mm-hmm. That's what bracket 1 is. It's an entirely different subset. And this is what I was alluding to earlier, whenever we were talking about bracket 1, where like bracket 1 still has a range of power within it, which I think all the brackets do.
Yes, yeah.
But especially saying that game changers are okay in there, it makes that a little bit worse. Not that it's a bad thing, but it makes that scale larger. Mm-hmm. And so I think that bracket 1 is kind of its own thing. And so really bracket 2 is where your quote unquote weakest decks will go, because bracket 1 is building with that intention in mind. Same thing with bracket 5. They specifically say that you are not building a CDH deck without worrying about the metagame.
Yeah.
And so why is that the end of our scale? Because bracket 4 is already the end of the scale. Like there is notable confusion that people have, and I'm hoping that this update helps with that, with the turn tracking and with the intentions in mind. But certainly before this point, people were like, I don't know if my deck is a bracket 1 or a bracket 2. The answer is, if you don't know, it's bracket 2. You have to be building a bracket 1 with intention. They're like, I don't know if my deck is a bracket 5 or a bracket 4. It's a bracket 4 unless you're building around the CDH metagame. They're their own separate things, and so I don't think that they should be a part of the same scale. I think that bracket 2 should be bracket 1. We should add 1 between 3 and 4, and then we should remove CDH. I'm not saying that a thematic deck is a bad thing or a CDH deck is a bad thing. It's just its own separate entity almost.
That's how I thought, because I think this was originally pitched as a 4 bracket system, and then there was CEDH, which sort of existed outside of it, right? And in this, they definitely it acts much more as its own bracket within this, is how it reads to me, at least. Because previously how I thought it was is that we have our 4 brackets and then there's CEH outside of it. What I agree with you. I think that bracket 1 basically shouldn't exist. It should be bracket 0. And then we have 1 in between what's our current 3 and 4. We have a 4 bracket system with 2 outliers, which is CDH is its own thing. And we have bracket 0, which is a thematic and it's its own thing, right? Yeah. And then we have... are 4, like, hey, you're building a commander deck with intent to win, but not intent to like it be the only thing you're trying to do, right? Yeah. You're still trying to build a deck to synergize and whatnot, instead of just building the most powerful deck you possibly can because you're trying to win, right? Yeah, you're still building around, oh, I want to play landfall or whatever, which might not be the most optimal strategy, but still a strategy that you enjoy.
Yeah. I think that like we certainly do have what you're talking about, like with the brackets, and then we have these outliers. I think the confusion lies in the fact that the outliers are the caps of it.
Yes.
Where they're kind of their own popped off thing. And so like, again, I think that the way it is fine. And ultimately, whatever they choose to do, I think that they're intelligent people doing an intelligent thing. I just think that they could maybe make that, because they've acknowledged the confusion and they're trying to fix that by talking about these intentions. And I think that it may be just easier if you pop those off and show this sliding scale that you have and these 2 kind of separate things that also exist in our format.
Yep. I completely agree.
Then I think that's all we have to discuss regarding those the bracket changes that came out and the questions that they tacked on to the end there. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we go?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Then for anybody who's listened up until this point, we very much so appreciate you for tuning in. Maybe we'll see you again in our next episode.
This is Cardboard Companions, and we're out. Smile.
Bye.
Bye bye.